Good morning and welcome to Broadcast Show live from IBC 2013 here in Amsterdam. It's Monday today, day 4 for us. We've been doing shows all the way over the weekend, so while you've been dragged off to IKEA by your wife, we've been sat here doing some shows. So what you need to do is make sure that you keep track of those. They're up already on our site, which is BroadcastShow.com, also on our YouTube channel, TV Bay Broadcast Show. However, we've got 2 hours of chat for you coming up, so we'll be with you very shortly. So let's get started. The idea of these 2-hour shows is that you haven't been able to make it here to IBC, and we can get guests on to talk to us about what they're showing here at IBC. And we have our first guest with us. It is Thomas Riedel, CEO of Riedel Communications. Thomas, thank you for coming on.
You're welcome.
For a start, give us a little bit of overview of Riedel Communications and what you're all about.
Yeah, Riedel is a German-based company focusing on connectivity. That doesn't say too much, but really we are the guys setting up communication systems in Formula One, for instance. Right. So communications between the driver and the pit we do. And if you see people pushing the buttons on the pit stands, these items, the gear is called intercom systems. Yep. And these type intercom systems we manufacture. The same gear is used at Olympics and in TV studios, and that's basically what we do.
So intercom systems, people start thinking, oh, surely it's just a microphone with a piece of cable in between, and it's very simple to put together, but that's not really the case, is it?
Well, it's that's how it has started, obviously, at some point. Very basic to just talk from A to B. But these days, you have hundreds and sometimes thousands of people in big TV stations which need to communicate intelligently. And the software behind these systems are really complex. And there's not too many players globally doing these large systems. And that's basically what we do.
So something that everybody would have seen then would have been the communications, for example, on the Formula One race. In order to do that, I'm assuming you have to be able to interface with lots of different technologies in order to be able to make these systems work.
Well, exactly. I mean, that's basically where things are going. Yeah. It's less about the microphone and the speaker anymore, but more about the networking of all these systems in the background. Yeah. And it's not just about voice, but these days it's about audio, video, and data. And that's why I talk about not just voice communications, but really about connectivity. Because it's really about connecting things in all kind of fields.
So give us an idea of the sort of products that you guys can, and systems that you guys can put together, and what you're showing here at IBC.
At IBC, we, on one hand, still have the product line really with the intercom systems, as I just mentioned. But really the much hotter topic is the networking topic.
Yeah.
We have a product called the MediaNet, which is basically a fiber optic platform, allows nodes within a fiber network to connect audio, video and data. And the special here is that this is about real time.
Yeah.
I mean, that is something people need to understand, that if I connect something over a normal IP network,
yeah.
then there is delays. Yes. And for TV production, I can't have a delay.
Yeah.
For instance, if I talk of it on a microphone and I have an earpiece listening to myself and I have
yes.
a delay on this, then I will stop talking,
yes.
because that just doesn't work.
Yes.
That little example explains why these type systems need to be real time. And that takes very special technology.
Yeah.
And we're also talking about very wide bandwidth.
Yeah.
So real time and high bandwidth, these requirements we combine in our platform, and we try to streamline productions, because lots of gear is needed, it takes lots of people, but there is not the budget anymore. So
yeah.
people really want to find ways to shrink this down, to have less equipment, less investment and less people, but still do more on TV.
Sure. So, I mean, we're talking about budget, as you say. There's a lot of small stations wanting to start up and looking to grow. How scalable is a product or a system like yours?
Our system really starts very small and it goes really up to the very large ones, which
right.
can be used at large TV stations or the Olympics. But really we're doing lots of small things, and
yeah.
This is absolutely scalable.
Now, I've got some notes here, and one of them mentions about the AVB conference. So you've been part of that here at IBC. Tell us a little bit about AVB and where does it sit in the broadcast market?
Well, first of all, I mentioned the real-time capability
yeah.
of networks, and that's really what the AVB is about. AVB stands for Audio Video Bridging,
yep.
and AVB is an Ethernet standard based on a standard coming from the IEEE.
Yep.
So not really from our industry,
yep.
but really from the big guys in the
yep.
in the IT industry. It was pushed mainly coming from automotive. So
right.
the big car manufacturers, they are using AVB now in the cars to really control everything from
yep.
the brake to the lights, and,
yep.
and everything is on AVB. So that's the big driver, and that helps to bring the price down of a technology.
Right.
And now that technology has arrived in our industry, media and broadcast, and it allows to use normal networks,
yep.
basically for audio, video and data communications with real time, and that's
right.
really the topic. And we have adapted the first products, so you can use intercom panels
yep.
on these networks, and that's exactly what we present here. So the first intercom system based on AVB.
So this is where you see things going. Obviously, there's always going to be a market for the known quantity of fibre optic cable, I'm sure, but systems like AVB that don't necessarily need fibre optic cables.
No, I mean, when we talk about networks and let's specifically about AVB, then it's not about a specific cable,
yeah.
because that's a technology
yeah.
Which runs over
yeah.
copper as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at our stand, for instance, you have like an Apple computer,
yeah.
Which is already capable of doing AVB, and
right.
you just plug our device in, and they already talk to each other. So that shows what that kind of standard
yeah.
means. It really makes things very easy and inexpensive.
Brilliant. Thomas, that's great. Now, if people are still planning, some of them watching this around this area, and they're going to come and see you, whereabouts will they find you here at IBC?
Well, they find us in Hall 10
yep.
At stand A31, if I'm right.
You are. I've got it on my notes. Yes,
okay,
correct.
perfect.
Very good. Always not a test. And if they can't obviously get here to IBC, and it's we've got a couple of days left, they're not going to be able to make it here, and they want to find out some information about all your technologies, is there a website they can go to?
Oh, sure. I mean, it's on Riedel.net.
Yep.
It's RIEDEL. So some people would say Riedel, but
sure.
it's Riedel. We're
yep.
German, so it's RIEDEL. But we also have offices all over the place.
Yeah.
So we're not only in Germany, we're in Austria, Switzerland, in the UK, in the US. We have an office there, in Singapore, in China, as well as in Australia. So basically, people are also able to just contact our staff directly and just
yep.
see the gear. We always have fun to talk people and show them what we do.
Excellent, Thomas. Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming on first thing in the morning here at IBC. It's always busy, so much appreciated you coming on. Go and have a look at their stand if you're going to make it here over the next couple of days. And of course, they are all over the world, and you'll be able to certainly find out where to contact your nearest local dealer and Riedel expert on their website, which is riedel.net. We're going to move on and get our next guest ready. In the meantime, just to remind you that in the UK, especially, we were doing the big broadcast show tour live. We'll be visiting Belfast, Leeds and Pinewood Studios in London. There you'll be able to get your hands on an awful lot of the kit that is being released here at IBC. So if you haven't been able to get here, you'll still be able to see all that kit. And of course, we've got Mr. Philip Bloom there doing seminars in the morning and the afternoon. Stop me talking though, have a little look at this. So don't forget to go and sign up, broadcastshow.com/tour. It is well worth it. We had a fantastic event earlier this year. So go and get yourself to that website and sign up. We're going to move on now anyway. We have Gary here from Volicon. Gary, thank you very much for coming on.
You're welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. Now, Volicon is new to me. It may be new to a lot of our viewers as well. So tell us a little bit about Volicon.
Volicon's core product focuses on what is defined as a broadcast logging and monitoring.
Yep.
And in simple words, it's a platform that allows different entities within the broadcast enterprise to review their product, to review what goes to air from all different perspectives. From the technical perspective, to see that the quality of the product that goes to air is superb, that the product that goes to air is in full compliance, that do not have loud commercials, that no bad words are being said, the closed captioning or teletext subtitles are in place in full compliance, as well as the executive overview that executives traveling around the world, they can log onto our system and to see the product that goes to air, as well as evaluating talent.
So you have a range of products that you're showing here at IBC. Give us an overview of this product range and where they slot in to, let's say, a broadcast sort of workflow.
It's what we are very excited to at IBC to announce a media intelligence platform. And it's a combination of products or use cases that allows different entities across the broadcast enterprise to use the same platform to do their daily job. And it ranges from looking at the product from the technical perspective to talent evaluation to working with producers to give real-time comments of how to change the show that is about to go on air.
Understood. So the system that you put together, what sort of information can they get out of this? Give us an idea what they would see on screen with this.
So the system that we have together, that we have put together, actually speaks the language of broadcasters. And the language of broadcasters is video, audio, and data, that metadata, what we would call the metadata associated with this information. And in the last 10 years, we have seen a tremendous explosion of different types of metadata associated with the transition to digital television and high definition, and we are looking over to over-the-top delivery of video over internet. So there's a lot of data that is being associated with the final product, which is video and audio, what we are seeing on TV, watching on our tablets, on our mobile devices.
So in order to get hold of this data, you've got to be able to tap into many different kinds of sources of video and audio and metadata. We got hard cable, IP, transcoded material you need to be able to get hold of. So how do you integrate into a system that's there in order to be able to...
That's a very good question, and that's one of the core competencies of Volicon, that we are able to completely transparently to tap into a variety of sources, being it over satellite, being it over the air, being from the cable, or being even over internet video streaming, and present it in a unified way, in such a way that everyone within the broadcast enterprise can look at the final product and even compare how it looks over cable versus how it looks over the air, to assure that all of them are giving the best viewer experience.
Understood.
That's ultimately what it is.
So if somebody's at the moment, they've got maybe some kind of old system, and they're not doing any monitoring at all really, other than plugging the cable into a monitor, how do they go about talking to you guys in order to integrate? What's the sort of things they need to consider? What questions do you need to ask them in order to implement one of your systems in their production environment?
So I think today we support majority of the interfaces that are available. They could be certain unique things, especially when we're talking about digital transmission or transport stream. Things could be unique. So we would like to have a technical discussion with a technical expert on site to make sure that maybe we have a sample of their broadcast to make sure that it's fully compatible with our system. But other than that, it's just plug and play.
Plug and play. Hardware-wise, is it a hardware solution or software solution that sits on top of standard hardware?
It's a combination of both. I mean, we consider that to be an appliance, and that's an IT enterprise class server that is running on top of it a software that was developed by us and providing a full end-to-end solution. So when the customer gets our equipment, they have fully out-of-the-box complete solution.
Brilliant. And whereabouts is Volicon based?
We are based right outside of Boston, Massachusetts, in the United States. Lovely town called Burlington, Mass.
Very nice. And if people, obviously we're in Europe here, are interested in your technology, how do they get, obviously you're in the US, the other side of the pond, as they say?
We are, but not far away. We obviously have a lot of representatives just going to our website, www.volicon.com. And they can find the local representative in their specific region. And the representatives have demo equipment. They are very competent technically about our product, and if needs to be, we have other subject matter experts that can chime in and provide more information.
Brilliant. Gary, thank you very much. You have enlightened us.
You're very welcome.
That's much appreciated.
Glad to be here.
If people are watching this and they're in the area and they're going to come and see you, I'm going to test you now. Do you know whereabouts you are in the... We
are in Hall 7, and the booth number is G23.
Brilliant, Gary. And of course, your website again is?
www.volicon with an N at the end.com.
Brilliant, Gary. Thank you very much for coming on. Much appreciated. Go and have a look at their website. It's Volicon with an N. .com, and you'll find out all the information about Volicon and how they can help you as well. And of course, if you're in Amsterdam, if you're around, pop and see us at IBC. They will be in, again, Hall 7 G23. In the meantime, have a quick look at this while we sort out our next guest. Welcome back. We're going to move on swiftly now. We've got our next guest ready. It is Dominique from Wyplay. Dominique, thank you for coming on.
Thanks.
Dragged you away from your stand on a busy IBC day, so it's always appreciated when you come on the show. Thank you. Now, Wyplay is quite new to me, and maybe new to a lot of people who are watching. So give us an overview of Wyplay and what it is that you guys do.
So Wyplay is a software company. We are providing software for operator, broadcaster.
Yep.
So this is the software running into the set-top box. We are talking about IPTV operator, broadcaster, DVB-S, satellite, terrestrial, cable operator. So we created this company in 2006. We started to sell our solution about 2010. We have about 10 million boxes deployed with Wyplay software, mainly in Europe currently. So this software is running into the set-top box, running into the backend of the operator and in some mobile devices.
Right.
We signed companies such as SFR in France, which is the second IPTV operator. More recently, Canal Plus in France. So we are replacing all the software into all deployed set-top boxes.
Right.
So for people who don't know this type of software, it's basically to see the TV, zap, record, access to the VOD, have access to the catch-up TV, all this stuff, and to do some swipe between the mobile devices and the TV and vice versa.
Right. Okay. So I get an idea of what you guys do now. So so when you load up a software, a set-top box, what we're seeing on screen, the software, the wrapper around the video, the functionality of this set-top box is what you guys can put together.
Exact. In fact, we provide the engine, and in most of the case, the operator wants a specific user interface, and we can do the user interface. They can do the user interface. So it's really open. And something which is quite new, it's for the IBC. We are launching the initiative Frog by Wyplay, meaning that we are opening this software to all the players across the value chain. So from the chipset vendor to the set-top box, software houses, system integrator, and the operator. So this is something that we used to do with SFR and Canal Plus, and we wanted to enlarge and not to do one-to-one, but one-to-many. So you will see at the IBC there are a lot of frog feet. So
I've seen them all over the place. They've worked really well. Set-top boxes have come a long way since the first set-top box came out, where all you could basically do is flick through. Now, as you say, there's on demand, you want to record, and now there's effectively like a second screen options. Give us some idea of the sort of functionality that you can put into a set-top box these days.
So you said all the current features, the zapper, the PVR, the VOD, and so on. So what is coming now, it's not really a new feature, but a new way of enjoying video, meaning that you have some cross recommendation where when you arrive and sit in the sofa, you are not doing program plus to find the right content, but the box will tell you, hey, I know you and I will provide you some content which may interest you. So this is one significant trend. Another trend for sure is using the tablet or the smartphone as a second screen or as a companion screen. So you can use it to control the TV, to have additional metadata, to not to put all this information onto the TV screen, but enjoy it onto the tablet.
So you can, for example, go to a movie and the more information about that movie can be available on the screen rather than cluttering up the television. Where do you see social media fitting into set-top boxes these days?
We provide some social media plugins. We have some demonstration with Facebook, Twitter, all these social solutions. But we have to adapt this social solution to the TV and the sofa. You don't have a keyboard, you don't have a mouse, so it has to be simple. You can do for sure a lot more on a tablet, but when you're with a remote control in front of the TV, it's just, I go on the Facebook plugin, I press OK, and I will put on my wall the fact that I'm watching this and I like it, or I can tweet these events.
Understood. So the idea is that you guys provide a technology platform.
We are a technology provider.
That somebody else can then take on and design how they wish for their particular customer base.
Exactly.
Fantastic. As far as your location here at IBC, I've seen frog feet all over the place. Whereabouts will they find you here at IBC?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch.
Whereabouts is your stand here at IBC?
Okay, so it's the Hall 5. It's A11.
Brilliant. And there you'll have technology demonstrations.
We have all the demonstration to explain what we do and the Frog by Wyplay program.
Excellent, brilliant. Obviously, we're going out to the world here, and if people are unable to get to the show and want to find out more about you, is there a website they can go to?
Yeah, you have wyplay.com and frogbywyplay.com.
Brilliant. So that's WYPLAY.com. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dominique, for coming on and talking to us.
Thanks a
much
lot.
appreciated. Go and have a look at their website, Wyplay.com, especially if you're interested in set-top box technology. I've seen little frogs around the place. They have these little frog feet, and they've worked very well. So now I know what it's all about. We're going to move on, get our next guest ready very shortly. In the meantime, I'm just going to remind you of the Broadcast Show Tour Live coming up, or is it Broadcast Live Tour coming up? One of the two. We're visiting Belfast, Leeds, and Pinewood Studios in London. We're going to play a couple of clips for you, but here's one about the Broadcast Show Tour. Right, moving straight on, we've got our next guest with us. It is Mark from SIS Live. Hi Mark, thank you for coming
John.
on.
That's a pleasure.
Now Mark, we spoke to one of your colleagues yesterday and we concentrated on the SIS Live product range. Today we're going to talk about what I suspect a lot of people already have seen is your services. So obviously SIS Live got a product range, but of course well known for especially your OB trucks that they've seen around. So give us a quick overview about what it is that SIS Live services
John. Yeah, certainly. So we operate a range or a fleet of SNG, IP and broadcast trucks. Basically we have trucks based the length and breadth of the UK and strategic places around Europe.
Right.
Our main business is news contribution feeds. So certainly any UK broadcast news stories, there's a SIS content somewhere. Whether it's the truck, the cameraman, it could be a teleport service, fibre connectivity.
Right.
So currently I think we have 100, 120 plus trucks, ranging from very simple IP only, low power, to very complex SNG, multi-antenna SNG trucks, going up to multi-camera, large outside broadcast facilities.
And if they haven't seen the big red trucks driving around, then they've probably been on a different planet, especially around the UK. A lot of people will think it's just big stuff that you do, but it's not. That's not necessarily the case, is it?
No, I mean we will provide. I mean, recently, for example, we had someone who had a private function. Some of the guests weren't able to attend, and we televised it live for them. So I believe it was South Africa we were sending the transmissions to. So we had a cameraman there covering the wedding, as a lot of people do, but rather than just archiving it for storage, it was being transmitted live. And then from there it goes right through to major broadcast events, London Marathon, Wimbledon and things like that we televise. And as bandwidth, we will transmit signals as low as a few hundred kilobits for communications only, and more recently we've transmitted 150 plus megabits per second for 4K ultra high definition over satellite. So it's very one extreme to the other.
Now a lot of people might think that getting an OB truck to a location, booking satellite time, organising the downlink and everything involved is very complicated. It might put them off thinking, I can't get the truck out, I have no idea what I'm talking about. How do you guys make that easy for a client?
Well, I mean, we provide a one-stop shop. So we manage capacity, we manage the trucks, we manage the people. So there's one or two things we need to do. We need to know the location, the time, and then like any other broadcaster throughout the world, generally you've got to go to the local PTT, and in a lot of instances make sure you're allowed to transmit from that location. Typically it's not a problem. Lots of locations they are not restricted. And some frequencies are not restricted, but that's really the worst case. Other than that, it's pretty much automatic. And on a busy day, we could be transmitting 30, 40 separate from separate locations, different range of different satellites, and a range of different customers.
And obviously, you guys have been going around for a while, and you've certainly covered the UK. And I suspect that if a client came up and said they want to transmit from there, you guys already know the location. You've probably done something from there before.
Yeah, I mean that's always good. I mean one of the negatives of satellite communications is you've got to have line of sight to the spacecraft. If you've been to a location before, then providing a building hasn't popped up in the meantime, you've got good line of sight. I mean, without publicising it, Google Earth and facilities like that, they're great for having a spot check look. But we'd always recommend, if we haven't been there before, we'd always recommend a site survey. And that will mean an engineer go in advance and checking the arc to make sure that we can see a number of satellites. That way we know we can guarantee connectivity.
And as far as talking satellites, you're not just pointing at one, there's a range that you can point at?
Yeah, I mean most people think satellites is where they get their sky pictures from on their house. In reality, there's literally hundreds of satellites in geostationary orbit around the globe, and we operate on many different satellites. The main criteria is that you need a high enough elevation to clear any around buildings and things around the area. But and normally the satellites operate in different bands, but they're all doing the same thing. It's single point from the ground to a multi-point on the ground. And that's the beauty of spacecraft. One hop you can get from here to the US. Can't quite get to Australia, but two connections and you're anywhere around the world. So it's very good.
Now, a lot of people have been speaking about KA sats and IP. Do you guys offer services with that?
We do. We offer those kind of services and similar competing sort of technologies. We look at those technologies as complementing existing newscasting. One of the USPs of satellite communications is you're providing a customer with a dedicated, guaranteed 100% throughput. And really, satellite communications is the only technology that's around that will do that. Terrestrial is great, lower cost, ease of use, but it's not 100% guaranteed. Especially if it's a breaking news story, a disaster or something, and the terrestrial infrastructure collapses or is overused, then satellite is a way out. KA sat, you can get dedicated throughput, but really the system is designed on for contended applications, but again it complements existing technology. So it's not untypical these days to have multiple dishes on a truck, one giving the customer maybe IP connectivity or streaming capability, and then another doing a more conventional SCPC transmission, which is guaranteeing throughput.
So some people will think, hold a second, I'm transmitting my very important content over the air. Is it not possible for somebody else to have a dish and just pull this down and see this content? Is it secured?
Well certainly you can see the carrier, but more often than not, it's very heavily encrypted. So it's very difficult to decode it. But there's people out there that spend their life trying to decode feeds. I would suggest that most news stories, the feed contribution for most news stories, aren't really people aren't that keen to watch them, but they are encrypted.
So basically, there's an encryption code is given at one end and then given to the guy at the other end. They type that in a box.
Exactly, and their IRD will lock to it. Yeah. It's similar to someone's card in their set-top box. You take your card out, you don't see your pictures. It's not quite that straightforward for SCPC, but similar
sort of technology. Excellent. Now, you're here obviously at IBC. You've got an indoor stand, and of course I've also noticed a big red truck outside as well, so you've got something outside as well?
Yeah, we have a vehicle, in fact 2 demonstrations outside. The IBC Daily News, we're transmitting that from a large SNG truck, and we also have what we call a man portable, a man pack, which is one of our leading products, and that's providing IP connectivity over a KU band capacity.
Brilliant. Now, Mark, if people want to find out some more about your service and they thought, oh, hold on, it sounds like we can actually use these guys, it's not going to be overcomplicated, because you can help them out. Is there a website they can go to?
Well, yeah, www.sys.tv or syslive.tv, syslink.tv. Basically, on our website, we have a full range of our products and services, and there's numbers on there, email addresses on there, and we'll be happy to help.
Mark, thank you very much for coming on.
That's our pleasure, John.
Go and have a look. We've used SysLive, or I personally use SysLive many times, and I tell you what, they make it very uncomplicated. I can tell you that for nothing. So go and have a look at their website. Syslive.tv will probably get you started from there. You'll find everything that you'll need. Moving on now, we're going to get our next guest lined up. While we do, have a quick look at this. Here we are back again. We are 45 minutes through a 2-hour show. I hope you're enjoying yourself. We're going to move on now to our next guest, which is Greg from, brilliant name of company, Forbidden Technologies. Greg, thank you for coming on. Tell us a little bit about, first of all, Forbidden Technologies and what it is that you guys do.
Well, we've been a pioneer in producing cloud-based tools in the broadcast post arena. We've been doing this since the very early years of the century.
Right.
We launched our prime product for scene in 2004 at IBC. Right. So we've had a long history of coming here. Yep. Basically, we provide cloud-based services, cloud-based tools to broadcasters, news and sports people. Yeah.
So this is, from what I understand, for example, a cloud-based editing system.
Yep.
You can do what you would expect you could do on a laptop or a workstation, but we're talking cloud-based here. Yep. Trying to get my head around how this could actually work. So give us an idea of how you can edit something on the cloud.
Okay, well obviously you've got to get your material in the first place.
Yeah.
It doesn't work if you can't.
No, sure.
And so we have a whole host of different ways of doing that. A lot of partnerships.
Sure.
So we typically partner with facilities houses, the people in Soho, the people in the main broadcast centres.
Yeah.
And they will actually ingest, and when they ingest stuff, take it in, take the high resolution material in, they'll push a low resolution copy up to our cloud at the same time. So their clients can then start to work on that, organize it, add data to it, put who said what, to whom, when, and all that becomes searchable.
Right.
So where you're talking of unscripted television, observational documentary shows or reality shows or whatever it might be, those guys can then go and find the shots that they want to make the story.
Right.
So it's all about story editing at the front and getting those shots together. And then typically in that environment, we pass on to a craft edit afterwards. So we're sending back what's called an edit decision list, an EDL, back into the facility from the cloud for finishing, to go out somewhere else.
So I can already see possible benefits to this, but give us an idea what the benefits are. of actually working with a cloud-based system like this?
Well, it's really, really wide area collaboration.
Yeah.
So it's a workflow that used to be centered around the centralized edit suite, which all of a sudden becomes completely wide area.
Right.
You want lots of people involved, they can be involved. They can be reviewing, they can be adding further logging information, all of those good things. And you can collaborate centrally and with someone in the field.
Right.
So if you haven't got a shot that you want, you can see the shot isn't there, and you can say, while the guys are still on the shoot, as you review those dailies, go get me this one before he shaves his beard off. Yeah.
Gotcha, understood. So you can have multiple people anywhere around the world. This is completely web-based. You don't need any software installed on the
You don't need any software installed. Provided you've got a browser, on the Mac you've got in front of you there, take that, fire up your browser, log in securely, obviously. There's a security level you've got to get through. We use the same security as the banks use for that.
Sure.
But then you've got access immediately to your account with the materials in it. You can start work.
So as I say, normally this would have been focused in an edit suite, and you've got an editor who knows that software, this piece of software inside out, doing the editing. Now we're talking about putting out to people who aren't necessarily editors.
Absolutely.
But still want to have this functionality to be able to choose shots, to be able to put shots down, to be able to send an EDL to a full-blown editor. How easy is something like this for a non-trained editor to be able to access and get to?
Really fundamental part of what we do is to make it as approachable as possible. The majority of our users are either not really skilled craft editors or they're what are called predators, producer editors. So they're going to be coming to this without a background in craft edit. They need to have an interface which is drag and drop, the way we normally use a computer. Or now with Android, finger and drop, which is the way that we use it. So that's how we've structured it. It's two levels. If you're one of those, you'll probably use the drag and drop interface. But if you're someone who is very familiar with the craft edit, we also have all of the keyboard shortcuts implemented within the system. So the stuff that would be familiar to an Avid editor or a Final Cut Pro editor is there as well.
Understood. Now, obviously you're well known in post-production for doing this. News and sport is a big area these days. Does it work well in that arena?
Works very well. I mean, one of the things that we introduced over the last few years is the ability to handle a growing file feed, so a live stream coming into the system. And our biggest contract to date was a really very big one indeed. It was London 2012, where we found ourselves working with NBC and with YouTube to provide a video on demand cutting platform for all of the editors that were cutting video on demand for NBCOlympics.com. 50 of them in 30 Rockefeller Plaza in New York City, mainly interns, interestingly. So those guys had a very steep learning curve, but they learned real quick. We got on and we did it. Produced about 3,500 hours of clips over the period of time. Same thing for the IOC 64 as it was called. And now coming into this year, we're working with one of those partners that we made through that contract, Delta Tray in Turin, to do the same thing for the European Tour, the golf. So if you go to European Tour, the golf sites, you'll be seeing clips that are used cut from our platform. Lots of feeds coming in, editors in different locations, not needing to travel to the courses. They meant to like that, but it's a lot more cost effective not to.
Absolutely.
But cutting that and putting it out. So big presence in sport. News is a different matter. News for us, we do a lot of web repurposing for news. So I have a client in the US who's got us into 60 US TV stations. We take the live feed, they use the platform to cut the top news hours, cut some capsules from there, push those back onto the station website and advertise. So that's a really fast turnaround, wide area, collaborative edit, all the good things that we're able to do. And it happens regularly, 24/7, 365.
Brilliant. Now, the cloud is one of the buzzwords this year. 4K is another buzzword this year, and it's one of those areas that's going to only get bigger and bigger. 3D disappeared, 4K looks as though it's going to be here to stay. And you guys are a cloud-based solution. How will that work when producers and broadcasters start moving over to a 4K workflow?
To us it won't really make very much difference because we're not using the original high-resolution materials to edit in the cloud in the first place. What we'll probably do is produce a higher resolution proxy for them to work on. So, they can see the focus pulls better, they can see the detail that is in 4K, which is marvelous, incidentally. I'm a big fan of 4K. But for us, it's just another step along the way. We'll introduce a new set of codecs and it will work in the way that it's working now.
And one of the advantages, obviously, being a cloud-based system is you can just keep adding functionality to this very easily.
We can.
And it's across the board.
It's across the board. Because you haven't got any installed software. there's no concept of version control from the user's point of view.
Sure.
Yeah? We do all the version control for you. It's like logging onto Google and doing a search. You don't expect that Google won't be doing the same search.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if people are interested in this, how has it worked on a purchasing point of view? Is it a licensed per user?
It's a hybrid cloud model as we describe it. Yeah. So we are software as a service. You can pay as you go. Very attractive for those who don't want a big capital outlay at the beginning. The one thing you'd have to buy is an annual license for the software to get the materials into the cloud in the first place. Yeah, even that's annual. It isn't a 5-year view. It isn't some enormous license in perpetuity. So there's some really good start points. A couple $100 per user per month for US clients. 125 sterling about for clients in the UK. It's very approachable. It's very attainable.
Brilliant, Greg. Thank you very much. If people want to come and talk to you here, we've still got 2 days left of the show, and they're around the Amsterdam area, whereabouts will they find you here?
In Hall 7, 7J15D is our prime location, but we're also at IBC TV News. Brilliant. So you can go across there, and we're showing our news workflows up there.
Excellent.
So either of those.
Brilliant. And of course, lots of people out there watching can't get to Amsterdam and want to find out more about your services. Is there a website they can go to?
There is indeed. Go to www.foreseen.co.uk to have a look at information, and forbidden.co.uk for stuff about the company.
Great. Thank you very much for coming on and talking about Forbidden Technologies. It sounds like a fantastic technology. I even have to log in and have a look at this myself. So go and find their stand. Again, I'll say it now, it's Hall 7J15D, or IBC TV, of course, have it as well. And of course, their website, the one I've got in front of me is forbidden.co.uk. I'm sure you can link to everything they do from that anyway. In the meantime, there's the alarm in the background. It must mean we're getting ready for our next guest. Have a quick look at this and we'll be right back. And we're back, and I've got my next guest with me. It's Mike from Softron. Hi, Mike. Thank you.
Hi, how are you doing?
Very good. Thank you for coming on. It's always appreciated when you come off your stand and come and talk to us here in the booth. For those who don't know, first start, tell us a little bit about Softron, what it is you guys do.
Softron is a company that focuses on broadcasting software for radio and television for the Macintosh.
Yep.
We're an exclusive Mac developer. We've been in business, this is our 31st year.
Right.
So we have applications that'll do automation.
Yep.
Applications that'll actually ingest media, capture media for use in the post-production process or for archiving, things of that nature. And we have some radio broadcasting software for streaming and audio.
Understood. So we'll go into a little bit of detail on some of the products that you do, but this is obviously IBC and there's always new stuff to talk about. What are you showing this year at IBC?
Well, this year what we're primarily stressing is our new playout engine.
Yep.
We developed a playout engine because QuickTime wasn't really the best playout engine that there was for making sure that you had audio video in sync. And that lasted for about 10 years. 10 years ago is when we actually developed it. But there's been new codecs, new wrappers that have come to the market since, H.264, DNX HD, MXF, things that have really captured the use of a lot of players in the market. And our old playout engine really didn't support those. So we've been working over the last year and a half to make sure that we have a robust engine that's going to last us for the next 10 years.
Right.
And that's the thing that we've been highlighting here at the show. We announced it at NAB. We're actually shipping the first pre-release versions of it here at the show, and it's been very well received. So we're able to do everything all the way up to 4K.
Brilliant. Well, we'll get on to 4K in a minute, but I'm quite interested in the fact that you said that you are a Mac-only software solution. I'm interested to know the reasoning behind that. What's your thoughts on running on the Mac platform?
Well, the reasoning behind the companies being a Mac developer was they started in Belgium as a Mac reseller, Mac integrator. And they just loved the way that the Mac handled audio and video. Their first products were for radio, and they developed it for audio. Subsequently, they developed it for video because the Mac is actually a better platform. Initially, there was QuickTime, and then there was AV Foundation. And you look around and you see a lot of companies like Blackmagic Design, Aja, DeltaCast, Matrox, a lot of those companies coming out with Mac-based video cards to support the Mac playout system. And the Mac is an easier to use system, quicker to get up and running, more reliable, if you will, in the broadcast industry. It's tough because a lot of people believe that they need to stay in a Windows area or in a Linux area, but the Mac is actually more robust. It requires less support, and it's easier to use.
Brilliant. Now, the buzzword this year has been for about a year or so now, but this year it's everywhere, is 4K. You can see a 4K screen virtually on every other booth around here. 3D came and kind of went. What's your thoughts on 4K?
Well, we feel that 4K is going to be a medium that's going to take off in an accelerated way. If you think back a year ago, like you said, it was all 3D. NAB was this big launch of 4K, if you will, and that was a mere 6 months ago. And here, anybody is showing a 4K screen or 4K output. I think the user experience with 3D was really what hampered it. People weren't used to to that environment, to viewing in 3D. There really wasn't that much content that was developed and available for 3D. There was some sports, there were some movies, but local television, regional television wasn't available for it. Commercials weren't 3D. The production costs of 3D were such that a lot of people weren't getting into it. So 4K, I think you're going to find people are going to master in 4K, and they're going to down-res, and they'll be ready for 4K when it's available.
And as you say, your Mac solution, play out from a Mac on 4K, okay?
Yeah, well, we're able to do it with our new playout engine. That's the sophistication of our new playout engine. So we're showing it actually 4K playout on a Mac Mini. Brilliant.
Now, everybody wants a powerhouse computer to run, especially something like 4K video. Everybody waited for the new Mac Pro to be released. It's always been this massive, great big unit where you can put cards in and things like this, and they've come out with something the size of a shoebox. What's your thoughts on the new Mac Pro?
Well, I think it's an absolute brilliant product.
Right.
I mean, my understanding, I haven't held one in my hands. I've got money laid aside in order to get one. The first time it comes out, it's 7x9, basically donut. You know, if you look at it, it's got all the speed you're going to need for I/O based on the Thunderbolt ports and the USB 3 ports. My understanding is the power is able to drive newer versions of Final Cut in 4K resolution. You can have like 2 or 3 streams of 4K and edit in real time. From our standpoint, the importance is going to be, because we've always stressed the fact that you can have multiple video outputs or multiple video inputs with our software. We finally have a machine again that is going to be able to do multiple I/Os because the Mac Pro is not available here.
Sure.
It is available in the United States, but you can't really do 4 or 6 IOs on a Mac Mini. It's impossible.
Sure, understood. Now, if people want to find you here at IBC and have a look at your products, whereabouts will they find you?
They'll find us in Hall 7.
Yep.
We're in G12. Against the back wall, we have a corner booth. It's nice and open. We're showing all of our products there. If people want to find us on the web, we're at www.softron.tv, softron.tv, and all of our new announcements are there. All of the explanations about what the products do, comparisons between our products, so that people get a very good idea what the capabilities are of each of our I/O products.
Brilliant. And if people are looking for a local representative for Softron around the world, obviously we've got people all over the world looking at this stream. Do you have representatives around the world?
We have representatives worldwide. In the Netherlands, we have a representative called the Future Store. In the United Kingdom, we have Jigsaw and Digital Garage. But all of our resellers are listed on our website, and they're broken down by country and region.
Brilliant. Mike, thank you very much for coming on and talking about Softron. It's all very interesting for me as well as a Mac user. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Go and have a look at their website, softron.tv. From there, you'll be able to find links to all their resellers around the world, and you go and give them a contact and find out some more information. We're going to move on now to our next guest. We are an hour through our 2-hour show. I hope you're enjoying it so far. Plenty more to come up. While we get our next guest ready, have a quick look at this. Welcome back. We're going to talk. We'll talk a little bit of RF, I think, now. And we've got Stuart Brown from Cobham. Hi, Stuart. Thank you for coming on. Now, Cobham, one of the major players in this arena.
Yes.
For those who don't know, first of all, tell us a little bit about Cobham and where you originate.
Okay. Cobham is a very big company, of which we are just a small part. It's a £2 billion company, specialising in video surveillance. We've recognised that the technology used in video surveillance is exactly the same as used in broadcast, so we've formed a small team to push present the technology in form factors that broadcasters can use, and the main application for that is wireless camera systems.
Right, so you have camera systems you can put on the back of your standing camera.
Typical one is this.
Yep, if we put that on here, we have a nice camera to show.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, that's... you can see it's got the battery connectors on there. It literally just clips on the battery. It's a fairly standard thing.
Yes.
We've sold an awful lot of them. People seem to like them. They work very well.
And I've seen many camera back systems in my time.
I can imagine.
One thing I do notice about this is it does look smaller than a lot of others that I've seen.
Yes.
And not over heavy. One of the issues they've always, especially camera guys that I know, running RF kit on the back of they have to have shoulders like Arnold Schwarzenegger used to have in order to.
I mean, this is actually slightly bigger than our standard one. This is the 500 milliwatt version, so this is a high power unit that gives you much better range. The other key thing with our stuff is it's very low power consumption. So this this uses 10 watts of power, whereas a lot of our competitors are 20, 25 watts, which again means you have to have bigger batteries, which adds to the weight. And, you know, so that's where we're coming from.
And as I mean, say there's a military background with Cobham. These things are built to last.
Yes.
Reliability, obviously, in a military environment is key.
It is.
And in broadcasts,
people's lives rely on your equipment working in that arena. So, although people sometimes you think the same was happening in broadcast, the way people get upset when things go wrong. nobody dies. But yeah, so the stuff's built. It's all built in the same place by the same design team. So,
understood.
Yeah.
So another thing about camera back systems is they can be very complicated to set up. And you need RF engineers on site and things like that.
Yeah.
How's it work with Cobham?
It's fairly straightforward. It has a control panel on the side, so when you power it up, the first thing it offers you is a list of 16 presets. So you can simply dial at the most basic level. You simply dial in the preset you want, which is pre-programmed probably by some engineers. Hit the go button and it's done. Brilliant.
Technology is always moving on.
Yes.
I mean, this is certainly smaller than a lot of RF units I've seen before. Where do you see things going as far as these units?
This is our latest one, which we've launched at IBC. We're launching this year. That is the same as that.
Okay, we're going to put these next to each other so you can see this here. Give me an idea. Right. So here we go with my special little camera. Hold a second. This might help. Right. Here's a Bic pen lid for you. Okay, that's my little finger. This is not big, is it?
No, it's not big. So this is full HD broadcast specification, high profile H.264 encoding, 100 milliwatts RF power output, which is what most standard wireless camera systems run at.
I'm trying to get over how small this is. I've got to get people to actually appreciate the size of this. Here we go.
Your Euro coin.
Here's a Euro coin for you. Let's do this. Euro coin. How many milliwatts?
100.
100 milliwatt, and this is Cofton?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's a full broadcast quality, long range microwave link.
I can see many advantages of something this small. Not least the camera guy's shoulder and the chiropractor fees will be an awful lot less.
I mean, on the stand we've got one mounted on a small, JVC camera.
Yes.
Just to emphasise the fact that you can put it on the camera and you don't even know it's there.
Yeah.
Obviously, the primary application for this is body worn. All the trend now is to point of view cameras for referee cameras and batsman cameras and jockey cameras. We took an order yesterday for 10 of them for a referee cam system.
So even though it's so small, we're still getting a decent range out of this.
Yeah. It's the same range as our standard camera back.
Right.
Power consumption is down to 7 watts as well, so battery goes even longer. It runs quite cool. So because miniaturizing things is one thing, but you've still got to get the heat out of them. So if you make things something really small, but you don't get the power consumption down, it just glows red hot, and you have to mount it to a huge heat sink. Defeats the object.
And of course, there's many drone operators out there who are now watching this and currently wetting themselves because they can get themselves.
Well, obviously this can significantly increase their run times.
Yeah.
Because it's all about how much weight the thing's carrying. So this is 800 grams, 900 grams. This is 75.
Unbelievable.
So that's your run time's gone up from a few minutes to maybe tens of minutes.
And with cameras getting smaller and smaller, as they'll see, so you don't need to have a massive, great big Sony camera on your shoulder to get the quality now. People are buying smaller cameras, which you couldn't arguably fit something this size on.
You wouldn't fit that on there.
There's now an option.
That's the idea.
So you say you're taking orders for this. If people wanted to, when's it due to ship?
Shipping will be Q1 next year, so New Year, so this side of Q1. So
it is amazing. This is a full HD version as well. You do a standard def version?
We do a standard definition one. I've got that here. That's blinking. This is even. Hang on, let me get it out of my pocket.
It's always amazing when you something so TV. Small you lose it in your pocket.
Yeah.
Look at that. Okay.
Well, these are the comments we've had of this, is that it's getting so small now that people, they will get lost.
Yes. There you go. It's not big, is it? So this one can do your standard def?
Yeah.
And this is your HD one?
Yeah.
So if you didn't need HD and you want to go even smaller, you've got...
if you just want a monitoring feed to, that the pilot can, can look at, then that's the thing.
And as you say, it's Cofton as well, so there's no delay.
And the same range, and you'll get the same range, line of sight, 2-3 kilometres if you need to.
Absolutely amazing. Stuart, thank you. If people want to find out where you are here at IBC, whereabouts will they find you?
We stand 1F41 in Hall 1.
Hall 1, it's actually right on the edge, isn't it?
Yeah, between four, we've got, because I mean half of our stand has satellite equipment on it, so that side faces Hall 4 and our side faces Hall 1.
Literally in between the two.
Yes.
Information for this, is this on your website?
It's all on the website, yes.
Excellent.
www.cobham.com.
Stuart, Thank you very much for coming on.
No problem.
Absolutely amazing. I haven't seen anything like that before. It's just truly amazing. Thank you very much. I assure you now, this is not a camera trick. They are genuinely that small. Go and have a look at their website. Of course, if you're in Amsterdam and you're coming to IBC, definitely get to their stand and have a look. They are amazing. Very impressed for sure. We're going to get our next guest lined up. He's standing in the wings and he'll be here momentarily. In the meantime, have a look at this. Welcome back. We've got our next guest with me. It's my good friend Tony Taylor from TMD. Hi, Tony.
Hi, John.
Good to see you again. Now, we had a little chat, I can't remember how many days ago it was now, 2 or 3 days ago on the show. And we had a general chat about where the industry's going. If people haven't seen that, they should, by the way. If people haven't seen that, then give us a little overview of TMD and what you're talking about here at IBC.
So what we've got at IBC, Hall 2C58,
There you go, look at that.
down in, as I say, in Hall 2, we're showing our media and digital asset management and workflow solution. It's a solution that helps broadcast, media, government and archive organisation to manage their content flows, content preparation, to delivery on the existing traditional linear channels, as well as the evolving market for digital delivery on OTT, VOD, whatever you want to call it these days.
Now, it's a modular-based solution.
It is.
While we've got you, I might as well test you here. Let's see if we can find out. Give us a little overview of the modules that you've got.
So what we've got, essentially the product manages the content all the way through from physical asset management right the way through to digital delivery. So things like library management when we're talking about tapes and film, etc. Ingest management through the digitization process. We've got storage management, the management of the content through the disk. Archive, and then obviously publishing to the different platforms.
Brilliant. Now, I had I think it was a chat with you yesterday on your stand, and you've got some new modules coming out this year.
We have got some digital delivery modules, and that is the one where we're creating content for delivery to all the new digital platforms based on rights management. We have just released our LTF archiving solution, and in fact the National Archives of Australia have just purchased that as the first site. So that's a new element. We've got some creative services, post-production management going on, and that'll be delivered towards the end of this year, and that's a full suite of cloud-based services for content management, campaign management, promo management within the creative services arena, creating that content to deliver out to the new platforms.
Excellent. Now, here at IBC, one of the things, obviously, you're always talking to prospective clients and current clients and showing off new innovations and new product ranges. But the other thing that happens here is we have award ceremonies. and we are in day 4 now. Award ceremonies have taken place.
They have.
This is the day after, the night before.
And I'm feeling it.
And I bet you are. And I suspect the reason being is you partied hard last night because you did quite well.
We did a little bit of partying, yes. We, as part of the IBC Innovation Awards, RTE, one of our customers where we've just implemented a project, won the award for the best content management system.
Yep.
That innovation award really focuses on not just the technology, but the use of technology in the business and the way that the project was implemented. So for us, it was about how collaboration happened between ourselves, between RTE, internally within RTE, and with our partners, people like NewTek, who were the SI, MJO, Broadcast, who did project management for us. So really the award is there as a testament to how well those projects were implemented to give those business benefits. So we're really chuffed that we've got it.
And congratulations on guessing it. They are fairly important, these awards. I mean, they're not just something you just stick on the shelf and forget about, are they?
No, they're not. I think especially the IBC Innovation Award, whereas other awards, and we've been up for other awards, but they focus on the technology, which is all great because the business is enabled by technology. I think the IBC Innovation Awards really are there for making sure that technology is used in the business.
Yes.
So it's really important to everybody out there.
Brilliant, Tony. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
If people want to find out more information about your technology and services, you are obviously here at the show.
We are.
And you have a prime spot in Hall 2. Which booth number is it?
It's C58.
You're right. Had to check. So wasn't that bad a night last night. You remembered it.
You were lucky there.
Yeah, absolutely. Prime spot, easy to spot. So if people are coming to Amsterdam, they can come and see you there and obviously talk to you there. Those that haven't been able to get here, what's the website for you to get to?
It's www.tmd.tv.
Brilliant. Tony, thank you once again for coming on, and congratulations. That's Tony. I think he looks pretty good after last night, after you winning something like that. We are going to get our next guest on. He's just getting himself sorted out now. While we do that, have a quick look at this. Welcome back. Look, I'm surrounded by kit. This can only mean one thing, is that we got some guys from Atomos with us. And we do, we have two today. They've come in a pair. It's Ian and Will from Atomos. Thank you guys for coming on.
Thanks for having us on, John.
No problem at all. Now, we briefly spoke to Jeremy and one of your other colleagues, and we've looked through the Atomos range throughout these days, which has been great to get an insight on them. what you've got here is this new calibration system.
Yeah, that's
which
right.
is very exciting.
Thank you.
We touched on it with Jeremy, but this time we can see it properly in action. Tell us a little bit about what we've got going here.
Yeah, sure. So the Samurai Blade is our latest product, as you know, the latest and greatest. And it's got a fantastic screen on it, but it's simply rectified when you first get it. But as with most screens or all screens, the rectification or the calibration of the screen tends to drift over time. Yes. So to get a true representation of what's been recorded onto your disc and what you are looking at on the screen, you need to calibrate it every now and then. And that's basically what this tool does. We've developed it in conjunction with Datacolor, who are experts in the field, and it's a very simple device. All we do is you plug it into the USB port on your computer, and we have the calibration program running on the computer, and then the LANC out into, from USB out into the LANC. What it does is, it's very simple, it's one click. If you look on the screen here, the little program comes up. We've got calibrate. You simply press calibrate. What it does, if you're on this screen here, on the Samurai, you can see it's giving a different color profile.
You can see the colors changing now.
And then the sensor reads those colors and then works with the Samurai Blade on the computer to calibrate the screen and get it back to SimDirect 709.
So this is it works in conjunction with your laptop.
Yes, that's correct.
Now I don't know of anything that does this. This is the first time I've ever seen somebody putting a Datacolor Spider on a monitor to be able to calibrate it. It's always very tricky to get a monitor calibrated, and a lot of the time you can't do it. So is this, I'll get you on this, Ian, is this a fairly new...
Yeah,
I haven't seen this
what's happening with technology is that the current crop of these screens that are coming out now are very good. Like they're basically 100% of the Rec 709 gamut. The primaries are pretty much spot on, and the LED backlight is the weak point in the whole thing, really. But the value you get out of calibrating now is really good, because when you've done the calibration, you're going to get a really reliable color reference that you can look at on the screen.
That obviously helps in the post-production process, not having to normalize across different shots.
So I mean, obviously, people say, you can try and sort it out in post. That's one way of thinking. It's not necessarily the Atomos way.
Stitching time saves 9. So do it when in the acquisition stage, and it leaves you to do other things in the post-production process.
So I mean, this is very clever, because for a start, you've got that plugged into the LANC port. So I mean, the advantages I see with this obviously is, of course, very quickly, if you are every month, you can just, before you go out and shoot, you can recalibrate your monitor. One of the reasonings I see behind this is because you control everything within this unit. I mean, this is not just a dumb screen with a recorder in it. Is that correct? So explain why it is that you guys are able to be able to do this. I haven't seen anybody else doing it. Why have you guys got the ability?
I'll let our tech expert.
Well, I think we have a full custom system. So every aspect of the system is made by our engineers, all the way from the file structure all the way through to the display that you see on there. Everything has been designed by us, and that means that we have the flexibility to pretty much do anything, as long as we don't run out of space inside there for the things. A lot of other monitors, they tend to buy chips and put them down like Lego blocks, and then you're just limited to the functions those chips have.
Understood.
So we can do, we've actually got reprogrammable hardware. So, you know, like when you download new firmware, you're not just changing the software, you're actually changing the hardware.
And which is the reason that whenever you bring out new firmware updates, you bring them out fairly frequently, and you've listened to a lot of the feedback from the people who use it, because you can literally change things.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just as an example, this is off the calibration, but here you can see, just this week we announced a new firmware update where a lot of people wanted better audio monitoring, so we've got that here now, and you can perfectly monitor the audio as you're recording.
Absolutely. It is amazing technology. If people want to get hold of this, when is this system shipping?
It has been shipping for 3-4 months now.
Oh, brilliant.
Yes, the calibration unit is coming out as an accessory, and we're going to be selling that, and they will be, we're saying November to be safe. they'll be hitting stores in November.
And they'll be able to get that from your website, I suspect.
Well, no, if they go to our website, there's a button up the top, where to buy, and you'll be able to see all the different resellers around the world. We've got a lot of them in the European region, so our European customers should have no problem getting their hands on one.
And if they want to find out where to buy and they want to find out some information about especially the calibration product, the website is
atomos.com. And we just put up the press release and all the information the other day, so I should have no problem getting a lot of information.
Excellent. Ian. Well, thank you very much for coming on and actually showing us.
Yeah, you can see on here as we've been talking, it's successfully calibrated, and that actually finished 5 minutes ago. So it only takes a couple of minutes
it doesn't take
on the fly.
And as you say, you just do it once a month and you've got a monitor that's always perfectly calibrated. Absolutely amazing. Thanks, guys, for coming on.
Thank you, John.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Ian. Thanks, man. So, have a look. Look, you can calibrate your monitor as well. You don't just have to buy it and put up with it. You can get it right before you go out on a shoot. Amazing products. We use these ones all the time. Atomos always stepping up the game and pushing forward. Very impressive. Atomos.com is the place to go. We're going to get our next guest ready. My voice is going. We are 1.5 hours through our 2-hour show. We'll get rid of this lot and we'll be back with you very shortly.
Thanks, John.
Amazing how quickly you can clear a desk when you need to. We're going to move on now to our next guest. We've got Carla here from NewTek. Hi Carla, thank you for coming on.
Thanks a lot for having me.
No problem at all. Now I know a bit about NewTek and your product ranges, but our viewers may not know everything about them. So tell us for a start a little bit about NewTek.
Sure, well, NewTek's been around for about 25 years, and what we do right now is we make multi-camera video production systems, which is sort of a fancy way for saying a television studio in a box.
Right.
It really is as easy as if you have cameras, you can plug them into a TriCaster, which is our main product line, and an internet connection on the other end, and you have everything that you need to make a video program that looks like broadcast-style television. So our focus is looking at what's involved in a live production scenario.
Yep.
And all of that equipment, and taking as much of that equipment and packing it into one integrated system.
Right.
So that what we're able to do, as the world is looking to consume more video content in more places, typically what that means for video producers is, well, to produce more content, I probably have to buy more equipment, I need to hire more staff.
Yep.
And our focus is actually on reducing the equipment by putting more of the capabilities in the box and reducing the amount of crew that you need. You still need people to operate the TriCaster, but you're not going to need necessarily as many crew as you did before.
Now, I know the TriCaster range fairly well myself. I've used it myself. It is an amazing range. So when you see something like a TriCaster range, and we'll go through that very shortly, what's the process of developing something like a TriCaster for you guys?
Yeah, so we try and do three things primarily. The first one is we have a heritage of bringing products to market at a pretty aggressive pace. So if anybody were to go back and look at how many TriCaster models there have been since we started, you'd probably count, if you try to count them, you definitely get up past the 10 fingers that you've got. And sometimes people say when we advance those products, how come there are so many models? And the reason is because we continue to put so many things in those products that we also have to, upgrade the performance of the systems. So we want to innovate at a very fast pace. And our focus is putting as much performance as possible in the hands of the end user at price points that really democratize, some traditional broadcast production technology. So we want to make this capability, not only do we want to put more things into a TriCaster, but we also want to make it available to as many people. And that is the core focus when we set out on any development effort. I mean, we have another product line called Wyplay, which is for live sports production, and we take the same philosophy. It's an integrated live production solution, this one for sports. And we have the same approach. Put as much in there as we possibly can to give the performance to the end user, but do it at a price point that is, more affordable than what's out there.
Now we're going to talk about the new TriCaster range in a second. The TriCaster range itself has a standard set of features across the board.
That's correct.
People may not know what they are. If you can give us an overview of what the standard set of features are across the board.
Sure. So I mentioned, creating a live show is as easy as taking cameras and an internet connection, and then everything else is in the TriCaster. So what are some of those things? We obviously have, our hardware has a blend of connections. So, you can work with SDI or composite or components, all of these different connections. If you're in a very small space and you don't have a nice studio like this, you can use a very small green screen or blue screen, and we have virtual sets right within the system. Not only do we develop our own, but we also partner with companies like Able Broadcast, who also provide some free content, but you can directly access Able Broadcast sets from right within the TriCaster. So that's a very powerful capability right there. Obviously, we have a production switcher. I mean, once you have multiple cameras, you need to be able to switch from one to the next. So we have what is sort of the traditional production switcher. But we also take a lot of the gear that normally, when I talked about looking at a live production, you want DDRs for media playback. Well, those are integrated in the system. You usually want more DDRs for recording your programs, and you may even want more DDRs to record the individual channels of all the camera feeds. All of that functionality built into the TriCaster. If you're doing something on a green screen, you may need a keyer, a separate keyer. That's built into the TriCaster. We have color correction tools built into a TriCaster. We have many post-production tools so that if you take the footage that you've recorded and you want to edit it later, package it up for DVD or other video on demand, those tools are in there as well. And so it's a whole range of motion graphics, titling, all the tools that you would typically need to make a broadcast style television show are right within the system.
Amazing. Right, this is IBC. There is a number of material around IBC indicating that there's some new announcements from you guys this year. Tell us about the new range of TriCasters.
Right, well, so we often hear that, from customers that TriCaster is really the most complete multi-camera production system out there, and that's a tagline that we use sometimes. And what we're doing here is at the show, if you've seen any of our marketing, we're saying that now the TriCaster line has superpowers. And what those superpowers are, we've actually taken a lot of the capability in our flagship product, the TriCaster 8000, and brought that down to 3 new models. So we've enhanced the 8000 with new features, but we've introduced 3 new models. The 2 mid-range models are the new ones are the TriCaster 460 and the TriCaster 860, and that's the next generation. We had the 455 and 855, and then underneath that we've introduced a brand new model, the TriCaster 410. And so what the TriCaster 410 is, it's a new entry-level price point for professionals. Very simply, it's a 2-rack mountable unit, so it's very portable. You can put it in a flight pack and carry it with you. It's got SDI, so it's a digital I/O, and it's one of the pieces of news for all of the TriCasters now is they are full mix effects production systems. So the TriCaster 410, which is the entry level, has 4 banks of mix effects, And what mix effects are, it's basically like having offline switchers within the system.
Right.
So they duplicate my switcher, but now I can actually work on a very complex sequence while I'm doing a live show. I may have executed, I'm executing some sequences, but I've got something coming up, some other transitions, and I can set that up in a row of mix effects, and I can even set up another one because I've got 4 in the 410. And then when I want to take that live, I just switch to that mix effects bank, and now that's running live. Wow. That kind of capability, 4 banks of mix effects on the market, usually runs somewhere between 35,000 and 40,000 euros. The TriCaster 410 starts at under 10,000 euros. Wow. So again, going back to what I was saying about putting as much performance at price points that make it more affordable, we're delivering on that piece of our strategy. And that's the case with all of the systems. We've brought new capabilities across the entire line. So when we talked about the core things across all TriCasters, as I said, all of the systems now have mix effects banks. They all have new virtual set capabilities. So realistic camera movements. Before, we allowed people to zoom in with a camera. It looked a little bit digital. Now we have very smooth tracking, and you can actually incorporate jib moves, pans, zooms. You can actually move around a virtual environment. So instead of just switching from cameras and zooming in, you can actually make it look like there's an operator behind the camera, and there isn't.
And so this is all done virtually. The camera's physically.
The cameras are mounted. I mean, here you've got robotic cameras. We now support robotic cameras. One thing about that is that in addition to just supporting them, we also provide a layout for angles of those robotic cameras. So, I mean, it's one thing to have a robotic camera and switch to it and have to get to your angle, but you can actually set up, angles and see them all. So during your live show, you can say, I want to go to angle C or D and snap right to that. So that just makes it a lot easier for the end user. We've introduced something that's really quite compelling called holographic live sets. Now, it's not holographic in the true sense of holographic images, but it is manipulating a 3D image. And what that is you can take any panoramic image now, even with your smartphone, walk out, and we could take a panoramic of this studio and drop it into a TriCaster and actually, on a green screen, replicate this in just a matter of minutes. And we've got full layers of video and composites, so even if you had this desk, I could drop myself behind the desk in a virtual environment. And it really takes the top off any limitations for what I want my broadcasting environment to be in. It could be a realistic studio, or it could be a streetscape, or any image that you want. And so you can still have all that camera movement with zooms. You can take a full 360 panorama if you want, and have up to 8 different camera sources feeding into that. So it's really, really quite compelling, and something that's pretty neat to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, these are the new announcements here for IBC. Are they available to order now?
They are. So we announced the new product line about a week ago on September 4th, and everything started shipping on the 12th, so the day right before the show.
Fantastic. And if people are coming to IBC over the next, we've got about another day and a half to go.
Sure.
Whereabouts will they find you here?
We're in Hall 7, stand K11. Brilliant. And obviously NewTek.com has a lot of product information on there, some videos as well explaining the new products. And we'd love to have people stop by the booth, give them a demo, and
fantastic.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Carter, thank you very much.
Well, thanks for having me.
They are amazing products, I have to say. Go and have a look at their website, newtek.com, if you're unable to get here to IBC, and have a look at the whole new range of TriCasters. You'll be shocked at the amount of stuff that they can do in one box. And that's newtek.com is where you need to go. We are going to move on now. We are coming up to an hour and 45 minutes into our 2-hour show, and we're going to get our next guest lined up, so we'll be with you very shortly. Welcome back. We're shifting the guests around at a fair rate of knots, and nearly caught me out that time. I nearly wasn't ready, but I made it in time. I'm here with JP from Audio Network.
Hello, John.
Hello. Thank you for coming on. Now, for those who don't know, first of all, tell us a little bit about Audio Network.
We are existing now for 11 years.
Yep.
We are creating production music for the media industry, which means currently we have 65,000 tracks on the shelf.
Yeah.
It is actually a very smart delivery platform online, obviously, and we are creating 1,000 new tracks every month. And we do such with 450 composers nowadays. It's absolutely top-notch quality material. To give you an idea, our orchestral recordings, and it's all original stuff that we record, so it's Hollywood blockbusters and stuff like that. But we always record with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra in Abbey Road Studios.
Okay.
So that sets a level, and the quality of the catalog, the rest of the catalog is equally high in quality.
So, I mean, quality is the key really here, isn't it, when it comes to...
Authenticity, quality, that's what we want to provide to the industry.
Yeah.
It's also because Audio Network was founded by two guys who used to work in production and were so not comfortable with the average catalogs in those days, which was predominantly still kind of wallpaper as background, nothing outstanding, nothing seriously good, and they thought they could do a better job.
Right.
Which they did in the end.
So this is a catalogue which is available online?
Yeah, it's online available.
What's the process of searching, looking for the music, finding you?
We have not changed the core of a catalogue. So you can search by genre, you can search by mood, instrumentation. That we have kept as it is, as a good catalogue should be.
Yes.
But when you go inside, you can really, it's like a tree. It folds out and folds out and folds out. So if you go to a main genre, you have all your subgenres, and it's quite easy to find the right music.
Yeah.
You can also use just keywords. Right. So should you go for piano, medium fast, indie, you can just type it in, and the tracks will pop up.
Brilliant.
If you select a track and you like it, there's always a like tracks underneath.
Yeah.
So it's very easy and intuitive to use the search generator.
Yeah. So as an end user signing up to your service, how do they go about, what's the payment model for accessing these tracks that you've got on there? How would you pay for them? Are they per track?
Again, it's a very easy process because we want to have everything as transparent as possible. So you can either purchase one track, you can purchase per production. Per production, you can use an unlimited amount of tracks, but still end up with that same one production price, or you buy into an annual subscription of a library. So, and that is in a way designed in mind of our users again. So the big TV production companies like Endemol, Shine Group, Bunny J, they buy into annuals, they have access to an unlimited amount of music for an unlimited amount of productions, and it just goes with an annual subscription.
Understood.
While, for instance, a documentary producer who's just working really hard, a year, 2 years or more, for one single production, they buy into one single production. And for everybody, and that's, again, a very transparent solution, it's cleared worldwide, all media platforms, forever.
Brilliant.
So you license once and it's entirely yours for the rest of its lifetime.
Excellent. Now, as I understand it, this is your first time here at IBC.
It is. It's quite a shock.
Is it quite a shock?
It is a shock. It's a village in a village, and really I'm from Amsterdam, but this is quite phenomenal.
It is amazing, isn't it? So how's it been for you this year?
Interesting in many respects. Being here for the first year, and even we managed to get in at a very late stage. It was only 3 weeks ago that there was a space available. I must say we ended up in not the most busy area here in IBC. But yet, it's really good to be around with the industry. I mean, this is our chance to get in touch with our users.
Yep.
Because normally we go to various shows and fairs. We use MIP, for instance, to get in touch with the high-level executives, CEOs, CFOs. They buy our products, but here we are able to meet our users, the editors, the producers, and that's been quite good. And I must say, I don't know if I can mention it, but yesterday Supermeet, phenomenal. In 3 hours' time, we had a table there. We were one of the partners, and in 3 hours' time, we had 150 people around our table having really great conversations about audio network, their needs,
And so, I mean, at IBC, a lot of people tend to want to highlight a particular part of their service. Was there anything particularly that you were highlighting this year?
We had a kind of a soft launch of a smart piece of technology. It's called an online cue sheet generator.
Right.
So, if you're in production and say you have something like 40 episodes on an annual base, 30 minutes, something like that, you need 20, 30, 40 tracks in each episode. At some point, you have to report to your channel what you've been using, and then the channel reports onwards to the Performance Rights Society. That is manual labor, and that's a pain. I'll keep it like that.
Did very well there.
What we have now developed is a smart piece of technology done with editing. Watch your edit. There's an EDL inside. You upload, that's your metadata. You upload your EDL and you'll have a cue sheet instantly from us, where you have your track title, the composer, publisher, when your track went in, out, total duration. You can download it as an Excel file. You can just send it to your broadcaster or to your Performance Rights Society. It's done in minutes, no more manual labor.
Very good. I'm impressed.
They'll be live in about a month now.
Brilliant. I was just about to ask you that, and you've answered it for me. I did notice that you have a habit of winning awards. Tell us a little bit about this.
Yesterday, once again, the Sunday Times Hiscox tech/media fastest growing companies. We've been on the list now for the third year in a row, and by that we are in a very selective amount of companies. Only 11 achieved that in the entire history of the list. So we are very fortunate that once again we're one of the fastest growing technology media companies in the UK.
Brilliant. JP, thank you very much. If people want to find out some more information, go and have a look at your amazing range of tracks. Is there a website they can go to?
Audionetwork.com.
Brilliant. Go and send them there. And if they want to come and see you, you are in what hall?
Hall 5.
Hall 5.
BO3.
BO3.
So come along, because it's a little quiet from time to time.
Oh, come and see
We welcome you all.
Absolutely. Hall 5, if you're coming to IBC over the next, we've got a day and a half left.
Oh, yeah.
If not, go to their website. I'm going to ask JP for it one more time, which is?
Audionetwork.com.
Audionetwork.com, and have a look at what sounds like an amazing range of tracks they've got there. In the meantime, we're going to move on. We are 10 minutes away from full time, as they say. We've got another guest to come on. We'll get them sorted out, and we'll be right back after this. We are in the home straight of this 2-hour marathon of broadcast show this morning here at IBC. We've got Les with us today. Les is from Cooke Optics. Les, thank you for coming on board.
My pleasure to be here.
Now, just in case some of our viewers have been in a coma for the past 100 years or something, just give us an overview of Cooke Optics.
Sure. Well, Cooke has been in the making optics for motion pictures really from the beginning.
Yeah.
We were founded in 1886. George Eastman, before he started Kodak, came over to see the founder of our company to find out about lenses for his forthcoming cameras. So our lenses made all the Charlie Chaplin movies, all the famous Klaramanski movies, the first Academy Award-winning film, Wings, back in 1927, all the way up through things like Hugo, the award winner last year or year before last. And we're still going strong after 127 years.
Amazing. So let's get right up to date. And let's talk about, first of all, let's talk about Cooke metrology. Tell us about that.
Well, that's really a new branch for us. William Taylor, the founder of our company, back in the 1880s, he said, you know, if you can't measure it, you can't make it. And obviously that's very true. I like to say you can't make it twice, but okay. In any case, and as the PL world, and we make primarily PL lenses, expands beyond just the traditional film world into TV and all other sort of niches in this business, people don't really have the equipment, the proper equipment to check their lenses. And while there are some lens projectors out there in the market, we found them lacking. So we said, well, let's do it ourselves and follow in William Taylor's footsteps and make the measurement equipment that people can really rely on.
Right. The other thing I want to talk about is anamorphic.
Well, that's really quite a buzz at the moment. No offense to my colleagues that make the cameras, but you know, in the film world, we had 20, 30, 50, 100 emulsions to deal with. In the chip world, we have 2 or 3. So there tends to be in digital a certain sameness. And people are looking for a way to differentiate their work from their colleagues, which is what people always want. They want their stuff to stand out. Anamorphic is a different flavor. Anamorphic, for those that may not know, is where you're actually into almost a square format. You're squeezing a widescreen format. And to do that, we actually squeeze the picture down and then we unsqueeze it later. And that introduces all kinds of strange things, such as instead of the out of focus shapes being round like they usually are, they become elliptical. The flares become a little horizontal usually. And also, just to the viewer who may not actually know he's watching an anamorphic film, it looks different somewhere in his subconscious because since we are dealing with the squeeze, we're actually dealing with virtually 2 lenses sort of kludged together. A wide angle lens and a normal height lens. And so your depth of fields are different. So it makes sort of a more interesting picture. And so I think in this digital age where people are looking to differentiate their work, anamorphic is now enjoying a real resurgence.
Excellent. And as far as the range of lenses goes for anamorphic, what sort of ranges are we talking?
Well, we're going to start with 25 through 135, 7 lenses. And 25 in anamorphic is actually quite wide. It means it's a 25 millimeter normal height lens, but it's actually a 12.5 millimeter wide lens. So, and we think that's enough to start doing movies. There will be obviously more lenses to follow. When we our S4 range, which really was the first modern lenses, you know, we started really the trend for modern lenses about 15 years ago. We started with 4, they went to 6, we went to 8, we're now up to 18 different focal lengths. So it will grow depending on what the industry requires.
Brilliant. Well, talk about modern technology. Tell us a little bit about your eye technology system.
Sure. Well, you know, at here 13 years ago, we introduced the first eye technology. And I stands for intelligence, and it's a metadata system for lenses to communicate with both the camera and other equipment on the set. And I have to say, 13 years ago, most people looked at it and said, what do we need that for?
Yeah.
What a waste of time and money. Well, time has changed. People now really understand metadata is extremely important. It can be used on the set to talk to other equipment, and it can be used mainly in post-production for doing tracking and CGI work. So what we've done now in the next generation is we've introduced into the lens inertial guidance components, which sounds a little strange to put them in the lens, but that's where we've done it. So now not only the lens will be talking about its iris and its focus and the typical lens data, it will also be giving relative positional data. So when they're doing tracking, and tracking is really the art of software, looking at a two-dimensional image and recreating this three-dimensional world and putting the camera and lens in the proper place. And the reason that's important is if you're going to, if the camera is pointing down and over to the right, but you want to put a clock up in the upper left-hand corner, you can't just put a round clock there. It has to be properly distorted for the perspective of the point of view. So by putting and tracking software is quite good. They can actually solve 95, 96% of the shots with no help. But on the 3, 4, 5% they have trouble with, it is really good for them to know exactly what movement the camera was doing. So if they lose a track, they can use this inertial information to reconstruct it and find their tracking information. So we're quite excited about that, and we've had quite a great reception from mainly from the visual effects people.
Brilliant. One more thing, there's a new collaboration between yourself, Codex and Pixel Farm.
To make this, what we call the I-squared, the second generation system work, we had to record the data. And while Sony, Arri, Red are all eye cameras, we don't always know what they do with all the information they collect. Sometimes they parse the data and keep only what they want to. So we went to our friends at Codex, and they made what they call the data logger, Codex data logger, which will plug in to talk to our eye lenses and record all the data that's required. So that really solves the problem. And I'm sure they're going to expand that to not only do our lenses, but to do other equipment on the set that can talk. And then obviously the PF Track, or the Pixel Farm makes a product called PF Track, which is tracking software. And so we're working with them to integrate this information into their software so that they can actually use it when they need it. And so both companies have been great to work with. PF Track or PF Farm, the Pixel Farm, has been an eye supporter actually from almost day one. So
excellent.
Now we're hopefully giving them some tools that really work well for them.
Brilliant. That's great. Now you're here obviously at IBC. I'm going to test you now. Excuse me. What stand are you at? Whereabouts are you?
Gee, we're in this hall 11. And we're in stand D10.
Brilliant. That's great. And of course, if people want to find out more about Cooke Optics, the website.
www.cookeoptics, that's COOKEOPTICS.com.
Yes, thank you very much for coming on. It's fascinating as always. Go and have a look at their website, cookeoptics.com, to find out everything about the magnificent range of lenses that Cooke Optics can provide. We've got one more guest coming up. We're going to get them ready. In the meantime, just watch this while we sort things out this end. Well, we've got our last guest lined up. Last but no means least, we've got John Toodles here from Sound Devices. John, thank you for coming on.
My pleasure.
Now, Sound Devices, a well-known company, but for those who don't know, tell us a little bit about Sound Devices before we get started.
Certainly. First of all, we're celebrating our 15th anniversary this year, which we're quite proud of.
Yeah.
And in those 15 years, our heritage is sound production audio devices. Over the last 2 years, we've introduced a range of video tools, and these are the PIX range of video recorders. And these products are oriented towards camera and production environments. And recently we've introduced the PIX 260, which is more oriented towards the broadcast rack-mounted environment.
So give us a little overview of the PIX range, because these aren't just your average portable recorders, really, are they?
These are unique tools, and some of the things that are on there is to make this product very complete. So it has an onboard scaler, full time code circuitry. So this is a device that can work in a multicam environment. It can work in conjunction with double system sound. We're quite familiar with double system sound. And it's a 444 device, so it'll take 3G SDI, record ProRes 4444.
Yeah. And obviously coming from sound background, as opposed to just concentrating purely on video recording, it's got a great sound
right. Our portable devices, the PIX 220 and 240, those have full mic preamplifiers, limiters, high-pass filters. The 260, which is the rack-mounted device, that has 32 channels of audio I/O. So it's a unique piece in that it's a video deck with extensive audio capability.
So let's concentrate a little bit on the PIX 260. A lot of people may know the smaller handheld units, the 220, 240. So give us an overview of the 260.
The 260 takes all the same video capabilities we have in the 240. So we record to ProRes or DNX HD codecs, and we record to solid-state drives or even mechanical drives if you needed to. But the 260 can record to up to 4 drives.
Right.
And you can record, and when you hit stop, you have 4 simultaneous copies.
Okay.
So that's a powerful tool for some production workflows. Additionally, you can set it up so that you sequentially go from drive to drive for long-form logging applications. The 260 is also fully network controlled, so with its embedded web server, you can put the device on a network, access it, control it, roll multiple units, record, playback. You can also drag and access any of those drives that are available on a data network.
Yeah. So give us an idea of the environment where you would use a 260 over, say, a 240 or 220.
You know, the 220, 240, those are the small pieces, and those are going to be at the point of production. Those are going to be at the camera. The 260, that moves down the chain a little bit. OB van environments, playback environments, a place where a rack-mounted, more comprehensive control is needed.
Brilliant. So if people want to find out some more information about the PIX range, you're showing here obviously at IBC.
Indeed, yes.
Whereabouts will they find you here?
Well, we're in Hall 8. Our booth is 8D74, I believe. And we've been in the audio hall for many years, and that's where people can find us.
So they can come and see you there. Obviously, this is going out to the world. People are watching now as we speak, and they want to get a look at the PIX 260. What's the best website for them to go to?
Sounddevices.com.
Brilliant. John, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Go and have a look at their website, sounddevices.com. I've used PIX Kit for all sorts of things. You wouldn't believe what this thing can do. It's more than just a recorder. We've even used the scaler on it and the standards conversion. You wouldn't believe what it can do. So go and find out all the information you need on sounddevices.com, and of course all the other range of Sound Devices kit as well. Well, look at that. We only overran by 6 minutes today, which is pretty good for us. This is the last 2-hour show here from IBC, but tomorrow at 10 a.m. European time, 9 a.m. UK, we'll be doing an hour's show, having a little bit of a roundup as well. For the rest of the day today, from 2 p.m. UK time, European time, 1 p.m. UK time, we've got more guests coming here. You'll be glad to know it's not me presenting, it'll be somebody else. So keep the window open. There's plenty more content coming from here at IBC 2013. In the meantime, I will see you tomorrow for the hour roundup show. Until then, goodbye.